Fine. We are going to talk about safe drinking water. What are the guidelines? What are the standards? How we can make safe water or water safe for drinking, and how surveillance happens for, especially for drinking water, and just a bit on water related diseases surveillance. So before we start, popular demand, can you try? Roll number 11 is there? Yeah, please try. It's a good time to go back, and if you are taking notes, you could have answered this. Okay, 27. Bad job. 27. Can you try? Please note if any roll numbers are absent. Now it will be like this. I'll ask personally. Not happy. Set 93. Present, absent. Yeah. Acute hepatitis A. Okay. One more try we will have. Set 38. Absent. हाँ. तुम्हारी भी लॉटरी लग गई. Don't worry. Lottery will come. B. चलो 2 try में भी नहीं हुआ. Fine. This is trachoma, water wash disease. Leptospirosis was what kind of disease was leptospirosis? Which type of water related disease? Water borne, water dispersed. It's a water borne disease. Legionnaires' water dispersed disease. Then it will be more difficult. Let's try with 55. Roll number 55 present. It's related to problem village. Which of these is not a criteria? Water source has excess iron, water is exposed to the risk of cholera, available at a depth of more than 15 meters, no source within a distance of 5 kilometers. Okay, we will have only one try, we don't have much time. Just try once. C. Okay, sorry. So water source, this is not a criteria, all other three are criteria. So as usual, these are our resources for today's session. I have used some additional sources, especially the standards for safe water by Government of India, standard for safe water by WHO. Few things are given already in those books, but I went into a bit of details. So very small dwelling on some important terms and definition. I hope you remember the definition of safe water. We will be coming through these few other terms today: sedimentation, filtration, disinfection, retrieval. I hope that you know these terms at least. You have read these in your class 10, sometimes in class 8 or 11, 12, right? You have gone through these terms. Guidelines and standards are something which the words which have come across very regularly, but they are very technical terms. So they are different. They are a bit different. Guidelines are a set of something which is not binding, but standards are something which has sometimes legal relevance. Sometimes it has non-legal, but something you can talk in terms of which should be there, standards. And if someone has to go for an award or something, award or getting a recognition, then standards have to, there are benchmark and standard which have to be kept up. And often some of those standards are also legally binding. Guidelines are something which is non-binding, should be there. So if you can recall the definition of safe water, it had 4 components. It should be free from pathogens, means bacteriological hazards are not there. Should be free from harmful chemicals, so chemical hazards are not there. Physical hazards, so bad taste or odor, so it should be palatable, and it should be usable, should be available and usable for domestic purpose, then it's called as safe water. So today's entire session is about how to make water safe. Why we are talking about this? Because we have to remember the water is used in various activities. So there are activities which doesn't consume much water, and then there are activities which can consume a lot of water. It also depends on the method of the particular activity. Say for example, you see toilet. So conventional toilet and ultra low flush toilet. So probably you might have come across this in airlines, some popular hotels. There, ultra low flush toilets are there. Gallons is about 3.8 liters. So it's about 5 liters, 6 liters, and this is 10 to 15 liters. So lot of water is wasted. 10 liter is enough water for drinking of 4 people, right? And we have other examples. This is a very popular example, shower, how it leads to a lot of wastage. This is a standard conventional shower head. People use more than this. So similarly, we have other activities and inside the home also, from washing hands to car washing. And see one example, this 100 gallons per month. A lot of water people waste. You might be surprised to know about a finding which I got few years back when I used to walk a lot. I was wondering, I was always keep wondering, you might also be wondering, there are certain roads near to Ames which nearly always are broken. Do you remember? Any idea why those roads may be broken? Water gets collected or rainwater gets collected, some people, miscreants, do some mischief there. Any idea? No? What I saw, and it's very characteristic places. If you go in morning, you'll see people inside some homes washing their cars, and that water gets collected. Or simply washing their walls. I'm not even talking of homes, they're washing their walls with a pipe, and that water gets collected, and those roads, the roads that specific points always get broken within a month or 15 days of repair of those roads also. So if you remember, the road in front of road gate number 2, it has again been repaired, but it will be wasted again within a few weeks. So this car washing, not only wastage of water, sometimes other environmental hazard also. Okay, so we would be discussing Indian guidelines. We will be listing the standards. We'll try to understand how water is treated. So explaining the methods, you should be able to describe the surveillance methods of water related disease and what is the current status of provision of safe water. So all of these are long as well as short questions in their own. So these are very popular short notes and long questions. All of these. So you will be simply discuss the Indian guidelines for safe water. That's it. Short note, 3 marks. Okay. So if we talk of guidelines, there are 4 at least important documents where guidelines can be found. So of course, our Indian Constitution, there is a Water Act, there is Environmental Protection Act, and the guidelines of Jal Jeevan Mission, which is the most recent government document. So as per Indian Constitution, Article 47, it's a duty or the responsibility of the state. State means the country, nation, to provide clean drinking water. Plain and simple. It's there. It's uncharacteristic about water. It's not so clear about many other things. Many other things simply written health. Health should be made better. But for water, it's very clear. It's written. As per the Water Act and others guidelines, so availability of 40 liters of safe drinking water per capita per day in rural areas. Urban is not very clear. Urban, depending on different areas, it's different. I'll show you. And second point for rural area is at least 1 hand pump or spot source. Any similar spot source should be there for every 25 to 50 persons. So it's very clear guideline. That's how standards are made, and that's how achievements are shown, whether these achievements have been achieved or not. These things have been achieved or not. For urban areas, depending on which type of area it is. So if the community doesn't have sewage system, it has a sewage system, it's a bigger community like a city, like a metropolitan city. So the recommended maximum supply levels differ. You can see for urban areas or peri-urban areas, it's similar to rural if it's not like a typical town or city. But for town, starting for 70 to 150 liters per capita per day. Okay, so next session would be related to this. So I just want to understand whether you know this or not. So if we have to treat water, we need to collect the sample, and if we have to collect sample, we should be knowing this. You might have been taught in the microbiology. It happens in your hostel, I guess so. It was happening till few years back. Is it happening in your hostels? Your water sources, the coolers, is their water getting tested regularly now? You don't know. It's written, the last time the water was tested. So you must have seen them. Be a bit observant what they are doing. Do we use a sterile container? Do we seal the top with paper? Do we discard the initial water? Do we clean the container before the sample collection? Which of these we don't need to do? And which should not be done, other way around also. Anyone? 62 present. Roll number 62 absent. Okay. Roll number 105. Yeah, please try. Second option. Okay. Sorry, it has to be sealed. So we should not clean the container. The moment you clean it, it becomes unclean. You will be cleaning it with something, some water, and we don't know whether that water was clean or not. Okay? So it should be dry and other three things, and there are other parameters also, those have to be followed. So what are the standards of safe water? If you remember safe water's definition, those standards are related to those three components, the biological, the chemical, and physical. So bacteriological or biological is actually more important. Chemical is equally important. Physical, although not that important scientifically, but from the standpoint of people, physical is most important. We'll come through it. So for bacteriological standards, ideally the drinking water should not contain any microorganisms which are known to be harmful. So there may be bacteria, there may be viruses, there may be protozoa, there may be fungus, right? And then we need to set standards for them. We cannot have zero level of a particular bacteria or virus. Bacteria and virus will be there everywhere in the nature, but we need to decrease their numbers. So that is the standard, and it should be specially free from fecal coliform, because they are most commonly known to cause diseases in humans, and they can more easily be detected also. We cannot detect many or maybe all bacteria or viruses or protozoa or other organisms. So the fecal streptococci especially are confirmatory evidence of recent contamination. And then we have Clostridium perfringens, which tells us that it has been contaminated for some time, right? So especially the deficiency in the filtration practice, the practice of, well, I will show you the steps of water treatment. Filtration is one of the important steps of water treatment. So this is the basis of making bacteriological standards. And what are those? So 95% of the water should not contain coliform organisms in 100 ml. So when we do the water testing and when it goes to the lab, throughout the year this testing should happen, and among all those samples, so if it is taken maybe every month, so out of 12 samples, 95% of those samples should not be having any coliform organism. Coliforms can be very easily tested by conky agar or some. And that not only that, not two consecutive samples. So two consecutive samples should not have, even if there was one, the next sample should not be having coliform, right? Then the treated water sample, there is a bit of difference between treated at a larger level and this is treated at smaller or household level. So treated water means the water which is coming to from the main source. So that water should have less than 1 E. coli. That was for the entire year. This is for spot, single sample. And individual, it can be less than 10, a bit more lenient. And for viruses, PFU, less than 1 PFU should be there in the, and there should be absence of the really pathogenic viruses like entropathogens or fecal bacterial phages. They can be tested, so that is other standard. What about chemical standards? So the chemicals which we are more interested from the standpoint of human diseases are these. arsenic, cadmium, chromium, cyanide, and organic chemicals are also there. So polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons and pesticides. So these are the most important ones, which for which standards are also given there. So which are the standards for physical physical hazards? There are four important things rather. One is turbidity, so less than 5 NTUs, and for color less than 15 TCU. There are color meters, there are turbidity assessment meters which can test these. They can be done at the source itself in a portable manner. There are no clear standards for taste and odor. So it's just like that. The taste should be acceptable. The odor should not be so bad that people reject it, right? And there is no very clear guideline for this. For chemical, there are written guidelines for ammonia, arsenic, sodium chloride. You can see here for pesticides especially, the standards are very strict. So Aldrin is one of the very common pesticide used, and see only nearly 3 ppm, less than that is a cutoff. There are two popular terms which you might have come across when you might have seen your home ROs or UV filters. So one is called as TDS, one is called as hardness. So TDS is total dispersible solid and hardness is one component of that. So there is a cutoff for both of these. Till 1000 it will be acceptable, and for hardness till 300 will be acceptable. In Bhopal usually the TDS is less than 200. So the usual water which comes after treatment in our hostels or homes in Bhopal, it's quite tolerable or quite better in the better spectrum in that sense. There are standards for sodium and chloride also, and iron also. Iron is one of the chemical compound elements which gives color to water, and not only for drinking, it is not acceptable for other domestic purposes also. So that's why there is a cutoff. And you might be wondering why there should be a cutoff for iron. Iron is something which is required, and we all know that Indians are often known to be having high level of anemia. But the iron which is available in water is not digestible. This is a different type of iron. The iron which is digestible is a different type of iron. So this will not be digestible. It will not go inside our blood. Right. So now we talk about water treatment. So when we have to talk of water treatment, we need to remember what are the domains which need to be thought of when we have to provide safe water. So first is the supply, of course, and we talked about, we will talk about the provision. We'll see whether the water is available, is it affordable, is it accessible, adequate, or is it improved or non-improved. So you can remember the difference between improved source of water and non-improved source of water. And we remember that bottled water was not an example of improved, it was an example of non-improved water just because of quantity, adequacy, right? And then treatment is one important part. So treatment has to be done to make it safe, and either at community level or household level. So depending on that, we need to list the steps and list the criteria also. And after treatment has been done, the water has to be stored. So water is stored to prevent recontamination, and whether it is stored at household level, if it is at household level, is it covered, is it uncovered? If you remember, when you go for CPCR, or when you talk to your patients in your OPD clinics or inpatient clinics or inpatient wards also, we often have to talk about these things when infectious diseases are suspected. And ultimately, when the water is stored, then we have to retrieve it. So we have to get it to drink or for some other domestic purpose. So when the water is to be retrieved, what kind of retrieval method is being used? So we'll go through quickly from this. Right. So before we go, I just like to understand your knowledge or your opinion on these. So which of these you think is true? First one, roll number 1 is here. Roll number 1 is not here. Okay. Roll number 125 is also not here. Right. Okay. Can you call him? Second row, last one. Yeah. Not at all interested. हाँ तुम ही भाई, यही सब आएगा MCQs में. सुन लो, बहुत यूजफुल है क्लास, अभी समझ में नहीं आ रहा. It's very important, these simple things. Try the first one. No idea? Quickly. Okay. Third one, sit. Third from you, the one sitting on your right. Second last bench, third person. Yep. Can you try? Best way not to be recognized is not to hide. Hmm. कुछ तो try कर लो. The first one. Is it true? Is it false? Okay. Good. So first one is false. Sit. The one, another spectacle gentleman in front of you. Third, fourth one. Yep. Second, quickly. Your roll number is 82. Groundwater is suitable for drinking without treatment. False. Good. Better. Okay. Third one. Third. Yeah. Second row. You are sleeping. You can get up. तुम्हें नींद आ रही है, नींद चली जाएगी. Yeah. Third one. True or false? Hmm? Okay. Good. The last one. आप बताओ. उसके पीछे ही तो देख लिया, उसने बोल दिया वेस्टेड वाटर है, तो नेक्स्ट लिमिटलेस सोर्स कैसे हो जाएगा? Okay, it's not available for use for us. There are methods, but they are very, very costly, usually prohibitively costly. Desalination. So I'm not going to talk about desalination. Now, quickly see the methods of water treatment. So the stages of water treatment would be: initially the water has to be stored. There sedimentation happens. After sedimentation, the water has to be filtered, and finally disinfection has to be done. After disinfection, the water is stored and again stored and then distributed. So at community level, what are the options available? So at community level, initially storing and sedimentation will happen. It happens usually in natural or artificial reservoirs. Impounding happens. You just store it. Just by storing, further pollution can be prevented. And for river water, optimal period is 10 to 14 days. Just store it there. So if we are getting water from Narmada, that water is first stored somewhere, and then afterwards that water is filtered and then disinfected. Initially, if you remember the physical hazards, so those physical hazards can be quickly taken care of by removal of large particles and some amount of chemical disinfection, and especially bacteriological disinfection also happens through UV disinfection. So just the sunlight goes through it, and some of the bacteriological or other biological component hazards are taken care of. The organic matter is oxidized. So organic matter means both bacteriological or biological and physical. The ammonia is converted to nitrate. Ammonia, if you can remember, that was one of the standards. So ammonia, the standard was lower as compared to nitrates, which is more harmful. And the pathogens are also reduced. Some of the even fecal coliform, they get either oxidized or they die. And a longer period of storage, there is a cons also. Those were the pro. If it is kept for a longer period, then algae grows, and algae growth means physical hazards will happen. The water may become colored, red algae. The water may become foul smelling because of certain algae. So bad odor and color. So after that, filtration will happen, and there are two famous methods of filtration. One is the rapid or mechanical sand filters and slow or biological sand filters. So these are the schematic of rapid sand filter. From river, first the storage will happen, and from there the mixing will happen in the mixing chamber. Then there is something called as flocculation, then sedimentation tank, and after that it goes through filters, the rapid sand filter. These are mechanical filters. Some pump or something will be working here, and from there afterwards disinfection will happen. So till here it is filtration. After that it is disinfection and then goes to consumption. So for rapid sand filter, this is the schematic of rapid sand filter. The filter, this thing from inside. So it has sand, it has gravel, it has perforated pipes and floors, and wash water goes through filter unit, it washes it, and then central conduit is something through which the water comes out. Right. Then the slow sand filter, it is more of fixed kind of facility. This is a well from where the water gets collected after filtration and goes for other purposes. Next step, it has to be made in such a way that it is not perforated, and there are two water levels depending on how much water is to be filtered here, and there is something called as very important, I'll ask you in the next part, which collects here. The filter, the actual filter, this is actual filter, it is made up like this. So it has the raw water comes here, and then media, the sand bed and porous bottom, this is the bottom, the sand, mostly sand. So slowly, biologically means naturally, the water will go down, perforates from here, and then it comes out from here. So you are sometimes asked to draw this in exams, either the schematic of rapid sand filter or slow sand filter. Right. Yeah. Up. No, second one. Attention span देखना है इसलिए क्वेश्चन. If you are not able to answer it, you are not at all attentive. I told the answer 15 seconds back. Hanji? First, second, third, fourth. First, slow sand filter. Right, good. You guessed or you were listening to it? You guessed? Good, very good. So I just told you it's slow sand filter. It has something called a vital layer. It has a very large, long name also. Very difficult name to pronounce. Right. So if you remember in our first class when we were talking about the importance of environmental health, and you as change agent or the expert. So as an expert, if you are asked this question after going through your MBBS, what would you suggest? Some popular Netaji or some popular strong or powerful bureaucrats ask you this. There has been rains. It might happen in Bhopal also. It happened few years back. Torrential rains happened. So all safe water sources have been destroyed. The rains have gone. Now something has to be done for providing safe water. So which of these would be used? And last one. Last bench, yeah. Yep, last bench. Extreme right. Will it be a rapid sand filter? Will it be a slow sand filter if this kind of scenario is given? Good. You guessed right. Rapid means water filtration happens really fast, and in such a scenario, even though the water filtration happens faster, the quality is not as good as slow sand filters. But still, because the situation is that we need water very fast. So next step is disinfection. Disinfection does not remove turbidity. This is a very important statement or fact which I have given you. Why? Because if somebody tries disinfection, many people tries disinfection at homes or at a smaller level also, without taking care of the previous two steps, that is sedimentation and filtration, then disinfection will not work at all. It is similar to when we talk of sanitizers, use of sanitizers for hand hygiene. So if the hands are dirty, will the sanitizers work? If the hands are dirty means something has stuck to your hands, some fecal matter or something. Will the sanitizers work now? It will not work. It has to be washed first. So the biological thing for a sanitizer, and here the turbidity has to be removed. The physical hazards have to be removed. That will happen through storage and sedimentation, and a bit through filtration. Then only the disinfection works. Disinfection works especially against biological hazards, mostly biological hazards. So the methods are chlorination, solar disinfection, ozonination, reverse osmosis, and we are talking of water treatment at a larger level. So this reverse osmosis is not the RO at home. This is reverse osmosis at a industrial level, larger level. So these are some of the popular photographs how this happens. So this is chlorination at a larger level. This is the machine. This is ozonation. You, I guess, can very easily identify this. Kya ye? Solar, right? And this is industrial RO plant, right? So if we have to do the same thing at household level, how it has to be done? Many things would be similar. So here also water has to be stored. The water is usually stored in rooftop or ground level tanks. If you, some of you who are from states like Delhi or Rajasthan, even some parts of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Ranchi, so you might be aware of this ground level tank. This is something which others might not understand. We understand storage tank means the tank is at the top of the building. Can the tank be in ground? Ground means sewage tank. Will it be drinking water tank? Never seen that? Right. So anybody from Delhi? No one? Koi nahi Delhi se. Nearby areas, Haryana, Gujarat, Rajasthan. Nobody. यार कुछ तो interact करो. You can explain it to your friends. So water is provided through the municipality. People often do not trust and realize that that water may be, sometimes that water may also not be really safe to drink. So that water is stored underground. And this may also be done if rainwater is being harvested. So for rainwater harvesting, we have ground level tanks, right? We have it here in IMS Bhopal. है तुम्हारे हॉस्टल के सामने ही है, तुमने कभी ध्यान नहीं दिया. And then sometimes it is stored in containers or pots. No storage hand pumps. Hand pipes are pipes, but it is not stored and covered or uncovered. So during initial storage in rural, it can be also done in wells, open or covered, household containers, these things, and urban, these ones. Some popular example. This is a photograph which I took when I was in Delhi. We used to see it very frequently. So the tops. What do you think this monkey is doing? Any idea? No idea. ऐसा वेकेंट क्यों उठा लो? Yes. अरे हर बार रोल नंबर से नहीं बुलाऊंगा ना. Sometimes you can tell on your own also. Drinking water, playing, trying to find its baby. Options. Playing, taking a dip. Taking a dip means it's bathing. So we saw often, very frequently, monkeys bathing inside the water tanks. They'll go inside, they'll come out, they'll go inside multiple times. So it's not play. They really, it's a hot season, they do it. That's how water is often stored in the CPCR families where you are asked to go. She is putting it here and sometimes here also. This is from Bhopal only, some nearby colony. It's a very common method of water storage. It's not very safe. Any plastic container is not safe. Most of them, not any, most of them are not safe. Right. So sometimes sedimentation at household level may be done in a scientific manner. Sometimes no sedimentation at all. So only storage. So that will be the difference between industrial level water treatment and household level water treatment. If we want to do it, there can be something called a 3-pot method for simply storage and simple sedimentation, natural sedimentation, or some kind of coagulation, flocculation and coagulation, which you saw there. So some popular examples which can be used is moringa seed. This is the moringa seed. I guess have you seen moringa plants inside the campus anywhere? They are there. Lot of moringa plants, or now some of them are trees also. And this is Strychnos potatorum or nirmali. So it is available often in Kerala. So it's available. It can be used. People use it. Sometimes people use it. It has to be ground and then mixed with the water and kept for some time. So areas where water is not available through pipe source, treated water not available through pipe source. I'll show you when we talk of water provision of safe water. There, if the water is not safely being provided, then these methods have to be used. So when next time when you go to houses and there is no method, you should not tell that, Dr. Sir, we were not aware how to do it. This is how you can do it. It can be done. It's not very costly also, right? So think about this, and please tell me, have you ever seen any method of sedimentation you have come across in your household, in your neighborhood? Anyone? And think about this also. Can you conceive what this I may be talking about? I am talking about this. It's not ruabja, it's water. And it's usually lukewarm. So there is, I cannot pronounce the name of that plant. Some starts with P, and it's a big tree. The bark of that tree is boiled with water, and then this water is served. So this is not sedimentation or filtration. This is an example of self-perceived disinfection. People think that this is a method of disinfection, although it has not been scientifically well researched, well proven. Right, so after storage and sedimentation at household level, we have to do some kind of filtration. This is one of the very commonest method of filtration. When you have been to your CPCR families in rural or urban areas, people often report you that they use training through clothes. They do use it. They often do that. This is a biosand filter. In areas where there is NGO working or somebody is a nerdy kind of person, these kind of things would be available. These are something which are available professionally, or you can buy it. You can buy ceramic filters in form of a pot or a candle or membrane filter. These are ceramic filters, candle filters. There is a pot filter also, and membrane filters I'll show you next time. Next week. These are the biosand filters. All these. Membrane filter works on certain things. So there are different types of membrane filter. Membrane filter simply ultra filter, nano filter, and reverse osmosis filters. So different kinds of filters are there. Biologically active filter, non-biologically active filters. Biologically active means similar to your slow sand filter at a very smaller level. That the kind of thing is happening. So it doesn't only work by straining chemical hazards. Filtration means chemical hazard. So in RO, not only chemical hazards are taken care of, even biological hazards are taken care of because of its property. Then disinfection at household level. The commonest method in the families where you are asked to go, the people will tell you that boiling is being done. We'll see the pros and cons of boiling. Chlorination, the most common method. A very characteristic method, often which was devised by UNICEF and popularized by WHO in Africa, is called as SODIS. A very popular source of question for PG, pre-PG exam. SODIS, what is SODIS? Solar distillation, UV, and RO. So these are some of the common examples. You can see this is chlorine in different forms, tablets. This is SODIS. I'll show you what SODIS is. So this water in bottle is kept in sun. Solar distillation, RO. This is a chlorine tablet being used inside filtered water for disinfection. So boiling means the water has to be boiled for 10 to 20 minutes. And we remember now that this is not done. When people tell that they drink boiled water, people usually drink warm water, not boiled water. Boiled means it has to be boiled for this much, and temperature is very important. Water starts boiling at a very low temperature like 60 or 65 degrees. So if the water has been kept for 75 or 80 degrees for 2 minutes, that water is not safe water. Neither the physical nor chemical nor the biological hazards have been taken care of. So if it is boiled at 100 degrees, more or less a lot of pathogens are killed except for sporulating organisms. There is no residual protection. Residual means then afterward the water is stored, it can get recontaminated during retrieval and storage, both storage and retrieval. The taste is a very negative thing. Once we boil water, the taste becomes very bland. Smell or color doesn't get changed. So the red water, because of algae, will remain red water. Even the smell will not go away because of the physical hazards are not removed through boiling. It's very easy. The cost is medium. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about chlorine. Let's see how much you know about it. So when we do chlorination, which of these will not be prevented? when we do chlorination in regular doses, the usual chlorination at household level. You want to try? Shigla. Okay. Sorry. One more try you want to have? Anyone? You want to try? She said Sigilla. Chalo, we don't have much time. Let's polio. It doesn't get killed. That's why that could have been a method during polio elimination. So government did not resort to it. So most widely used method of disinfection, both at a larger level and at smaller level also. So the commonest filters which now are being used has chlorine inside it. The Pureit, if you remember the Pureit brand and many similar brands will have this one. Cheaper. So it needs a contact of 30 minutes. There is a residual effect. Residual effect means once the disinfection has happened, there is a residual chlorine in water, and that will prevent further contamination by bacteriological or other viral agents or other biological agents till a certain limit. It doesn't mean that you put a lot of fecal matter and then it remains disinfected. It's not like that, but it protects for a longer duration. And even that, it is not effective for some viruses, protozoan, especially helminths. It doesn't kill the helminth eggs. None of these does. Chlorine is one of the most effective ones. Still, it cannot kill the eggs. The methods, you can simply use bleaching powder. Some kind of estimation has to be done. Very simple formula is there. So how much of bleaching powder has to be put in overhead tank or underground tank after the stages of filtration and sedimentation and filtration has happened. Chlorine tablets are commercially available. Chlorine solution is commercially available, and this is the most expensive and most effective method. High test hypochlorite, but it is toxic also. If the fumes comes out, it may harm people. So tablets and chlorine solutions are something which can be very easily used at domestic levels. Sometimes the government also provides chlorine tablets to the people who are more likely to have unsafe water. Then solar disinfection is very simple. You clean the water, you fill the bottle, and you simply keep it for 6 to 8 hours in sun. The sun should be should not be much shady. Some amount of sun needs to be there, and now the water is simply ready for consumption. It's a very popular method. It has been tested, researched a lot, and popular method now used in many parts of Africa. The Indians don't know much about this. That's why they don't use it. I don't know why. They will have those kind of argument that the plastics will get inside water, microplastics will get inside water. What is your opinion about that? Microplastics getting inside water and causing so many diseases. So we have typical stereotypes about things. We have listened that from our scientific things. Usually not supposed to be learned through parents. They are supposed to be learned through peers and teachers. So I'm sorry if I have offended you. It's a wrong notion. It is not. It is less harmful than many other activities which we do. So, a lot of south happened similar to this. A lot of south happened when these cellular towers came into place. Cellular towers and brain cancer. Yet to be proven. Yet to be proven that it causes brain cancer. And during COVID, people were talking of 4G causing COVID, and there were attacks on people from China. There was a very popular company which makes that. These are wrong. These are beliefs. So even doctors will have beliefs. We are discussing that because when we talk of Sodis method, we are keeping water inside plastic bottles. And plastic bottles mean, and that too, it will be kept for 6 to 8 hours. So it will become very warm. During summers, the water will become really warm, really hot sometimes. And we may have that notion, no, that water will be having microplastic and it will cause so many things inside me. Yet to be proven. And lots of study has happened. Lots of studies. So bottle has to be transparent and PET bottle. PET means the kind of plastic which is used is a very specific plastic. There is a module and booklet by UNICEF on this, how so this has to be used. It's very easy, you can see, and very low cost. So it's better than boiling. Do you agree? Is it better than boiling? It's better than boiling. बॉटल भर दो, छत पे रख दो, बाहर रख दो, कहीं अगले दिन ले आओ उठा के, फ्रिज में सीधा डाल दो. Reverse osmosis, popular. It's a kind of elitist measure. Reverse osmosis. I had to convince my family member to let go of it 4 months back. We let go of it. So now we have only UV filter, no RO filter. I told you that in Bhopal the TDS is, the cutoff was 1000. The TDS in Bhopal usually is less than 200. We tested, it was in the water which was coming to our homes, it was nearly 130, 135. And once you use RO, it becomes further lower, and then you are actually drinking soft water. Soft water is known to cause certain problems, especially functional gastrointestinal disorders. Not in everybody. People who are likely to get it. So that becomes a trigger for them. So popular costly method causes a high wastage of water. If you have seen an RO, 4 parts of water gets drained out and 1 part gets filtered in. It's both filter and disinfectant both. And it's only appropriate if TDS is really very high. So again, I'll ask anybody from Faridabad, Delhi, no. So when I was doing my post-graduation, I did it from AIIMS Delhi. We were posted in a place called Ballabgarh, which is in Faridabad. So guess what was the TDS in 2006 there? Abhi to aur badh gaya hoga. What might have been the TDS in Faridabad or Ballabgarh in 2006? Is high? Can you guess? Okay, let me make it simpler. About 50 kilometers from that was the rural PSC where we were posted. It was a residential posting. It has a very beautiful hostel and everything. You can, whenever you get time, please visit that place. PSC Chaisa and PSC Dayalpur. They are model PSCs, more than model actually. I have done a lot of things there. So people will tell you my name. Any idea what might be the TDS in that rural area? You know about Bhopal. Any guess? 500? So when I was doing my PG, the TDS of rural area was about 1200, and Ballabgarh, it was about 1900, and Faridabad main town, it was about 2600. So RO would be required for that place. That water is literally salty, and not sodium chloride salt, all sorts of other salts, and not only salt, scum, lots of things because of the industries, and people have drained down groundwater so much because of that also. Okay, now we come to retrieval of safe water. So retrieval can happen through taps and glass. There will be a tap attached to the, so there are countries in the world where you can simply open the tap and drink water. Can you even think about it? You will not have panic attack. So there are countries in the world where you can simply open the tap, and if you want, if you do not trust, you can test it by our methods, use your standards, it will be appropriate because those are tested very frequently. So UK, USA, Canada, you can simply, most of the areas, you can simply open the tap, put in a glass and drink the water. Or taps and bottles, store it, glass dipped, keep a glass inside hand and then dip it, something like this. So this is glass dipped. The girl is dipping the glass. This is called as a ladle, this one, the long handle ladle. So ladle can also be used to get water. This is no retrieval, just hands, right? Okay, now quickly surveillance and then last part. So surveillance, there are 3 main systems. One is IDSP. We will have a separate long class on IDSP. Disease control programs has its own surveillance system. So it can be inactive, it can be passive, it can be sentinel surveillance. And for water surveillance, drinking water, there are sanitary surveys and sampling. There will be surveillance of swimming pool also, and as community medicine PG in many, it doesn't happen here, in many medical colleges, in community medicine PGs and other people, they do this very frequently, swimming pool water surveillance, right, and drinking water surveillance also. So let's quickly have a, and so under this Jal Jeevan mission, 2% of the total allocated fund can be used for surveillance. And what are the facts which we know? So nearly 3.4 lakh contaminated samples were found, tested since in 2019 this mission has started. Out of 73 lakh water samples across 2,182 labs are there. So Madhya Pradesh has 155 labs where water can be tested. Bhopal has, I think, 3 labs. So few years back, we used to get experts from there who used to deliver these kind of sessions and demonstrate you. We used to have visits also. And at the household level, women have been trained. So they use something called as field testing kits, and they can do surveillance of water. So one example is about 89 lakh water samples have been tested across 5 lakh villages in the last 6-7 years. So it is happening. You might be wondering, sir, urban mein nahi ho raha. Urban mein it is expected that people become self-aware and collect the water sample the way it should be collected, send it to the lab, and you yourself can get it tested. Hospitals have their own testing facility, like in Bohemian we have our own testing facility. We can test water, right? And after this, the online portal is there, so you can check it whether how much of water, what kind of training, what are the ways or places where the labs are placed. So that's how drinking water surveillance is happening in our country. Just one example of other surveillance indicator for malaria. There is something called as API, AFI, SPR, and SFR. There will be similar example across many other diseases. For UG level, I did not want to go into details. Every disease control, epidemiology and control, when you are taught, they will have their own surveillance methods and surveillance indicators. What is the status of provision of safe water? So we should remember that we have so much of world population and so little of drinking fresh water. We talked about this in last class also. And the per capita availability, that's why because of the rising population, it has been going down. So it's not limitless source. We have limited source of water. Because of lesser population, the per capita availability was quite high. You will get people who are 60 years, 70, 80 years old and talking a lot of things. And if you try to tell them, कार को पानी से मत धोइए, and they say पानी की क्या कमी है? Then you can tell them, sir, पहले कमी नहीं थी, अब हो गई है, and this is example. So technically, India is now called as water stressed nation because the cutoff is only 1700. We have already reached there, and in few years we will be water starved country because of both water wastage and the newer urban area, they consume more water. You saw that. So for larger metropolitan cities, more water is required. Smaller rural areas, lesser water would be required. So more urbanization means more requirement of water. So both urbanization and rising population means from stress to what? And we know Bangalore, Chennai, there are memes now. Take alternate baths. Just yesterday I saw this meme. Take bath alternate day only. So the landowner is telling. It's a meme. And he is telling from a different perspective because he is thinking that he doesn't have that much of water. From the other perspective, he opens the gate, the two students are there, and when the landlord leaves, one of them tells the other, how does he know that we are not taking any bath? So, puns, jokes apart, but this is happening in many cities, and this will slowly happen in other cities also. We talked about the water brights in Maharashtra. What is the availability status? So, as per the last census, when the NFHS and census, within the premises, only 46% of water was available, and Madhya Pradesh only 24%, nearly 24%. Near the premises 35%, and away from premises that much. So safe drinking water availability is 94 to 91% by various methods. And if you go to the source of water, so here is a difference. See, hand pumps are considered as unimproved source of water. See, such a large number. And if somebody is using hand pump, they have to treat the water at household level. Treat means doing all those stuff. So sedimentation, storage, sedimentation, filtration, and proper disinfection, correct method disinfection. So anybody's guess. This kind of data is not being captured. So we capture data till it has been made available. So what are the problem challenges apart from what we have achieved 94% and 91% for urban and rural? The achievement is still sometimes it is unsafe, unimproved, and unpalatable. It happens in Delhi, Bhopal also many times. right? So next time we will be talking of solid waste.